G'day, welcome to Create with Connor. I'm Connor and I am just reviewing my experience of taking the music production course presented by Andrew Huang, who I'm a big fan of, on the relatively new learning platform monthly.com. So if you're at all a prospect, potentially interested in enrolling in this course, then hopefully this video will help you make that decision based on my experience and the experience of a friend who I met on that platform.
Hello, thanks for having me on the channel, Connor. I'm Ken.
I also really want to thank Ken for allowing me to use some of their stuff in this video. I really wanted to show some of the community features, but of course it would be rude of me to share other people's faces without their consent. Thank you so much, Ken. It's what you'd expect, and for me, it went the extra mile. What I mean by that is it's got lectures. If you've ever been to university or, been to school, you've got these lecture style lessons. They might go for an hour, might go for less. There's one on his channel presently, Fundamentals of Music Theory, and that's like half an hour long. And there's other ones of that for these other subjects. Where the value really is for me is in what I would call a tutorial in the university sense, where he begins a piece and completes the project that he then assigns us from start to finish, and it's all 100% recorded. There's no skipping or barely. When there is, it's done tastefully and after you've had enough time to really do it with them. And this is very valuable because I've done other online courses and this isn't always part of the process. And when it isn't, the learning doesn't stick. Think of any YouTube tutorial you've ever taken. That's why they don't stick, because you aren't forced or encouraged to sit there and watch them do every click, solve every little problem, and do so over a long period of time, because that's boring and that would mean that YouTube teacher won't get as many views as the other one, and that's important. So this is where this type of education really is effective, is because you set aside 2 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, depending on what the video of the day is, and you watch him work, and through osmosis you become comfortable with that workflow. Of course, then you've got to go do it yourself, and that's all on you, but that goes without saying. But when it is all on you, you'll feel comfortable and reassured that what you're doing is going to work because you've seen it work, and you've also seen how long it took for it to work. Because that's sometimes a real big problem for me. If I go search YouTube or something for a quick answer, how do I do this? How do I learn jazz piano? They might give me a solution, an exercise, a tip or a trick, but because of the fast-paced, get-rich-quick nature of that style of content, the second I hit the first bout of frustration, which is usually within 5 or 10 minutes, and go, oh, well, this isn't working, then I'm just gonna jump the fence, abandon that, and try and find the next best thing. Always looking for the perfect method that will get this done ASAP. And that's not how music production works or should ever work. It's not how any kind of craft should ever work. So this is where it's beautiful, but it will take patience. You will, and I highly advise you watch these videos in full, whether spread out over time or all at once, like I sort of did, and just bulk it and make it an event, almost like watching a movie, considerably more boring one. But even though it's boring, it's done tastefully with, of course, Andrew Huang style editing and nice cinematography, and it's very crisp and clear and thought out. So yeah, I thought I'd point that out.
I would say that my experience was overall pretty good. I don't know if I'd call it great, but it was very good. I made a lot of great friends, Connor being one of them. So that was like probably the highlight for me, is coming out of it with an awesome community, which is awesome. I found the course content was pretty good. I think I was expecting a little bit more. So it fell a little bit short of my expectations, but I learned a lot. So that's not to say that it isn't good or useful.
In terms of the value of the educational content you're getting there by itself, it's well worth the price of entry for me. As someone who has attended a university and who has a HEX debt, which is this Australian university debt scheme, for classical piano. This is a very valuable education, and you have access to those lessons forever. part of the course that really got me by surprise. I didn't expect this to be something I would look forward to, and I certainly didn't expect it to be perhaps the greatest element of the course in its entirety, was the community involvement and how they've integrated that. It is a bit interesting. I haven't seen anything like it, but it's probably because nothing like it's been tried before, to my knowledge. Basically, even though there's hundreds of people at any given time in the class, it splits you into smaller cohorts or classes of about 20 or 30 people. So that's where it's a bit weird, because we all know there's other people out there, but we're kind of like kept in our own little bubble. But then you can find other people outside the bubble. It's just kind of a bit wonky and not straightforward how to do that. So for example, the friend I've made through Monthly and who I will continue to interact with and collaborate with and learn from, they weren't in my cohort. So sometimes accessing their stuff, it wasn't as easy as it is with your peer group, because there's a page dedicated for that, what your peers are up to. And that's really cool. So the concept is sound, but the execution is, it's interesting, and I'd like to see them experiment with different stuff, because maybe that isn't the best way to do that, especially if you're in my case, where perhaps your peer group's not exactly the most active, bustling group of people, or they're not really good fits for you. You know, it'd be cool if maybe like a video game party system, you could, you know, create your own little clan, so that, you know, me and Ken can sort of have our own little party and invite and create our own peer group. Maybe. That's an idea.
I found it hard to meet new people on there at times, just because of the way things were set up. We were divided into groups of 20, and I found my peer group got really inactive in the later portions of the class, and so it was difficult to go around and find people to talk to. And I actually ended up, a bunch of us had made a Discord server, which I used for that, but I feel like it would have been great if Monthly had had a feature for us to talk with each other within the service, because you can't talk directly to one person unless you're commenting on their track. So for, say, one of my peer group members, if I wanted to ask them how they were doing, and because they hadn't posted any new updates, it was hard to do that.
As someone who's not a huge fan of typing, don't get me wrong, I love writing, but just typing messages and the struggle that is trying to convey tone through text, it's just such a pleasure to be able to respond to a comment, a text comment, with a webcam response, and just immediately upload it. No need to upload to YouTube unlisted, then share a link. No, it just goes right in there. Here's an example. Far out, your piece is amazing.
Thank you so much.
So that was such a blessing, and it's through that feature that I developed a really, really valuable friendship with Ken. And that wouldn't have happened without the video feature. Sure, you know, you can make friends through text and everyone's nice to each other. There's plenty of examples on that. Everyone's lovely and encouraging. But to actually make a friend and get a deep one-to-one connection that will actually lead to music making, or, you know, career options, or just opportunities, or more meaningful connections, you know, that comes still from that human face-to-face connection. So the video responses really made the course for me. I could quickly zoom around and give help to people because I was one of the more advanced students, especially when it came to music theory, being a classical pianist or of that background, and a lot of people came in completely new to music. You know, it's much easier for me to just jump on a piano, record with the webcam and go, hey, maybe you could try this. Here, these are your chords here, try this. And I did that. And that was really appreciated, and I feel fulfilled because I've used my skills to help other people, and that's awesome. And then of course, you know, it's lovely to just talk and have dialogue. Like, the messages between me and Ken are anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes long because we're just geeking out over each other's music and ideas, and it's amazing, and it gets me excited to make music, and it also holds me accountable because Ken's looking forward to the next track. And that's something that doesn't always come over or get conveyed over text, that emotional response to communication, and it's beautiful. So just based on the community alone, I still recommend the course. But then of course, the resources themselves are really, really, really stand out and very polished, very helpful. Not all of it I will use, I'll be honest, because I've got my own workflows that to me work better for what I'm trying to do. But regardless of your skill level, you'll stretch yourself in certain ways.
I think one of the biggest things that was frustrating for me in the class was the way that they're structured is everything is due at midnight in your time zone, which seems great in theory so that you can work on it when you can, say when you get home from work. I am on the West Coast in North America, which means that midnight for me is like the latest time out of pretty much anyone taking the course. So if I hand something in on time, a lot of other people have already finished their peer reviews or have already gone through and looked at everybody's tracks, and I found it hard in that sense. I didn't get as much feedback on some things as I think I was hoping to, and I found that was just a little bit difficult. Andrew came and listened to a bunch of songs earlier on the 29th and didn't come listen to it on the 30th. So by the time that I had handed mine in the evening for me, the course was over for everybody else.
There were essentially 3 projects, each exploring different elements of music production. The first one I was perfectly comfortable with because it was your intro to music and music theory, so that was a breeze. So I just challenged myself in my own ways and occupied myself. And even though I didn't learn anything new per se, or not much, I learned some new perspectives on things I already had, and took it upon myself to try doing the things I've always done, but from a different perspective. And even though I'm going to go back to doing things my way most of the time, it's still nice to have that other perspective, because it'll help me connect with other people who can only think from that perspective, or if I want to try something new. So the second one was more electronic, working with samples, and that was very awkward. So again, that's where these tutorials, long form tutorials, come in super handy, because having seen that it takes Andrew Huang 2 hours to pump out a few bars of this track, that's an exaggeration. It means when I'm sitting there frustrated going, this is taking forever, I don't bail out and look for a get-rich-quick style tutorial or tips and trick video, or just give up because I know it took Andrew 2 hours, so the fact it's taken me 2 or 3, that's okay. Then the third one was for me the most challenging, but for others would come naturally, and that was dealing with vocals and live recordings, and I'm not a vocalist, so as you can tell from my half-baked, half-finished project, yeah, it's pretty shocking. And that's the one project I haven't finished and probably won't finish, because I've got a lot of work to do on my vocals before I have another crack at that. But that's awesome, because I'm comfortable with the first 2. I'm proud of where they're at. Are they perfect songs? No, that doesn't exist. Could they use more work? Yes. I'm happy with that level. But my disappointment and discomfort and unease when it came to working on the 3rd track means that now I'm like, okay, well, I guess I've got to sit in this realm and explore this avenue a lot more, because it's where I'm most uncomfortable. It's where my weak links really show. And now that's helped direct my learning after the course. I'm going to explore more vocal stuff. I'm going to try and record vocalists, and I'm going to try and sing myself and learn so that I'm more comfortable in that area. Whether you're sort of coming into that intermediate to advanced level like I did, or you're a complete beginner, the course will hold your hand all the way through, so the complete beginner can get all the way through the course and still get equal value out as me. The difference is, if you're more advanced, you'll in some cases find your own value, and in others, have to take it upon yourself to challenge yourself a bit more. But even so, the course is so broad, and Andrew Huang is such a holistic, versatile producer that I'd be really surprised if anyone goes through the whole course and still doesn't learn anything new and doesn't push themselves in any way or feel uncomfortable in any way during the music making process over those 3 projects.
I think overall, it's really good if you're like me and you need a kick in the pants to get moving creatively, and deadlines and external pressure, and if you want to learn a bunch. I definitely did. I don't know if my experience personally would have been worth $500 to me. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure everybody's experience was different, and overall I did have a great time, and I enjoyed the course.
That probably sums it up. Hopefully this hasn't been too long. I just wanted to give you a comprehensive overview of what you might be doing and how you might feel during your month on monthly.com if you take a future Andrew Huang music production class. If you're going to enroll, which I highly recommend, there are a few things I wish I had done differently, or that I saw other people not doing that I would incentivize. First is join the Discord, whether one pops up for your cohort or you get offered to join the main one that we had as the first cohort, and that would just grow with each monthly. Join the Discord ASAP. It gives you access to the whole cohort of people and it allows you to get around that weird quirkiness of only being able to sort of see your classroom even though there's 100 people taking the course. Another channel of communication that is better in some ways, not as good in others. The second thing I would do is ensure that you use the video responses if you're not super shy, or of course if you have a webcam or some basic camera. It will save you time typing, you'll develop more meaningful connections with your peers, and that means everything, because if you send a lovely text message, that's awesome, but if you send your face on a camera talking to me, making eye contact with the lens, I'm more likely to remember you, become your friend, when the course ends, seek you out, get you to, jump on my journey, and together we might make some stuff, or just we'll remember each other more. Because I had lovely interactions with tons of people, but Ken is the one friend who I will keep for a very long time, and who I've invited to join me and participate in stuff on this channel, hence why they're in the video. One disclaimer though, don't enroll in this course if your sole or most important priority is to get seen by Andrew Huang. I didn't, and I actually went in expecting that he wouldn't have any interaction at all, because there's so many bloody people, how could you have any genuine interaction? I'm pleasantly surprised with what he did do. I am gonna guess that he took it upon himself to comment on something of every participant at least once. That's my guess, because he commented on mine, and anytime I saw him comment, it was on a new person's thing, but he only did it once. So he did mine on my first project, there's the comment somewhere on the screen, and he did that once and then never again, and it's a short comment. Sometimes they're more comprehensive, so I imagine he goes through, blocks out a couple hours to just go listen to what track and write a comment and then move on and never come back to you. So don't sit there and expect that Andrew Huang's gonna actually talk to you and you're gonna become friends with him, because I noticed a lot of people were disappointed with that level of, or lack of interaction with Andrew. I wasn't, because that's not why you do a course like that. It's just impossible at that scale. The university, different story. When you actually got 20 kids, teachers got time. This scale, it's impossible. Do I recommend Andrew Huang's monthly course? 150%, go for it. You will gain from it. It will probably make you aware of some of your vulnerabilities as a musician. And even if you're super competent, more competent than me, you're still gonna gain some different perspectives. And that's just useful, even if you're not gonna use them in your workflow. It's nice to know they're there. But ultimately, if you do as I said with the Discord and the video responses, you're gonna make a couple friends, and that's more valuable than the entry price or any learning to me. Because with those friends, you might, start a music duo, you might, make YouTube content together, you might, collaborate, or you might just learn from each other, take lessons from each other, give one, take one. That's a great thing you can do. If you're a pianist and they're a vocalist, you can give a lesson, you can take a lesson, do it free, pro bono, you know. It's awesome. So highly recommend it. That's it for this week's video. I'm super glad you joined me, and I hope you appreciate this content. It's something that I would have liked, but obviously didn't exist because I participated in the first of these monthlies. So hopefully this is a good guide for you as a aspiring musician. Anyways, if you're interested in music and sort of following the journey of other aspiring musicians, this channel might be for you. So consider subscribing, maybe check out some of the other videos first for sure. And if you are doing the monthly, or have done the monthly, or are considering doing the monthly, then you're probably looking for that way to stretch yourself as a musician, whether you're a beginner or intermediate, advanced, whatever. So we have a Discord here that came from this channel called Create With Us. Every month we do challenges, and every month the submissions from those challenges get compiled into this great big video featuring all of the works that everyone made and submitted, as well as our reactions to them. And it's just a great big like musical secret Santa, and I love it. And each month the prompt is different, a way to push you to explore what makes you uncomfortable as a musician, but of course on your own terms. For example, the prompt this month is to just roll a dice, a 20-sided die, and whatever number it lands on is the amount of tracks or instruments you're allowed to use in your track. So you can still make whatever you want, however you want it. But if you rolled a 2, you can only use 2 instruments. If you rolled a 16 like me, you can use 16. So if you're interested, consider joining that Discord. Tons of amazing aspiring artists and just really friendly young people as well. So it's also just a great place to hang out and make friends. I know I have. And that's it. All the best with your day, night, evening, whatever it is where you are. And thanks for spending your time with me. Ta for now.